Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. Yesterday was a stormy day and all day long into the night last night. And power flickered on and off, and so I'm bringing you a video this morning as well as, Lord willing, the video for this evening. And so what I was going to bring to you yesterday, which you're getting today instead, is a black-eyed pea canning recipe. Now this recipe is a no-soak recipe, meaning I'm not soaking the peas overnight. My mama always soaked her beans and her black-eyed peas. She usually just can't cook those fresh. But anyway, this is no soak, and we're going to can them up in pints. We're going to use the pressure canner. Beans and peas have to be pressure canned. The first thing that I did today was wash and sort through my beans, and I took all of the trash out. You want to make sure, I said beans, but I mean peas, and I'll probably do that throughout the video, so just excuse me using the wrong term. I mean black-eyed peas. So when you're canning, or even when you're just cooking dry beans and peas, you want to make sure, now I know some of you have already done this before, but we have some people on here that have never canned, and they've asked me to show them. So what you want to do first is make sure that you go through your peas or your beans and you clean them. Now so far I have a big pan over here that I'm going to be canning over the next several days, and I haven't found any rocks yet, but I have found broken peas and peas that have little issues with them, and I pull all of those out. So now I've got all of my peas that we're going to use in this canning session, because I have a pressure canner that holds 7 quarts or 9 pints, and I'm canning in pints, so I'm only working out for this time 9 pints of black-eyed peas. So I'm going to show those to you now, and then I'll take you over and show you my canner over at the stove. For this process, the lighting is better here at the table, so I wanted to do it where you guys could kind of see what was going on. So I'm going to, of course, start with my pint jars, and you're going to need a funnel. And I'm putting one half of a cup of peas into my canning jar. Get my colander here, and these peas have been washed and rinsed. They haven't been washed with soap. Rinsed. And I'm going to measure up 1 cup or 1/2 cup of dry peas into the pint jar. Now there are other methods that are approved for beans and peas, beans and peas, and they're the soak method that you soak overnight. And you are welcome to do that method. Rather, you can cook them fresh, meaning when you go pick them out of the garden. I let mine dry, but you can pick them fresh and can them as a fresh pea. And there's instructions on that. And perhaps this summer we'll pick some and can them fresh. You can put them in the freezer. They're delicious in the freezer. But my freezer is full of all kinds of other things. So I like having these on the jar, these jars on the shelf. And they're convenience foods. Homemade convenience food is some of the best convenience food that you can get, and healthiest for you. So 1/2 a cup. Now you could put salt in your jar, and I believe it's a 1/2 teaspoon. I'm not going to put any salt in my jars. I'm supposed to kind of watch my salt intake. So I'm not going to salt these jars, but other times I may put salt in it. But today I'm just doing the basic 1/2 cup of peas in a pint jar. And then you're going to fill it to the 1-inch mark right here with filtered or distilled water. I've got this all ready to go here. You could use broth. Broth would be very good. You could put ham in it. You could put onion in it. And then you're going... And now what you're going to do is just kind of take, now I'm using a chopstick, but you could use the debubbler that comes with your canning kits to do this. And I don't ever use anything metal in the jar. I always use wooden or plastic, and move it around just to make sure that you don't have any bubbles. Okay, now that we have that all taken care of, I'm going to look in my jar and see if I have any other broken peas or peas that have a problem. And I'm not seeing any. Now I have some floaters, and I've looked at them, and I'm not concerned about them, so I'm just going to leave them. Make sure that you wipe your jar lid, the rim, very, very good. And then you're going to put a lid and a ring on your jar. Fingertip tight. Now you don't want to wrench it on there. That's not, just fingertip tight. And then this is ready to go in the canner. Now I'm going to set this aside and do another jar for you, and then I'll get the rest of them filled and we'll go over to the canner. Now my canner is on the stove, and it has, my particular canner has 3 quarts of water in it. I don't have the canner turned on yet because my water is room temperature. Everything else is room temperature, and I don't want to have hot boiling water and then put something a different temperature in there, because that can cause thermal shock and cause your jars to break. And we're putting all this product up to feed our families, and we don't want to have a problem. So anything like this, if the product is hot, I make sure the water in my pressure canner is hot. If the product is cold or room temperature, same with that. I don't bring it to heat at all until it comes up to temperature with everything else to make sure that I don't risk thermal shock. Again, a half a cup of black-eyed peas. Fill it with water or broth, leaving 1-inch headspace. I'm going to look and see if I've missed any beans that are broken or have any kind of problem to them. Not seeing anything. Now when you clean that many black-eyed peas, it's inevitable that you're going to miss something on occasion. And you just simply take it out of the jar if you see it. Make sure you get that rim good and clean. You don't want anything to come between the lid and the rim of the jar. That's another chance of allowing not to get a good seal. Again, we're just going to put a lid on. Fingertip tight, and put it aside. I've got my canner with 3 quarts of water, same temperature as the water that's in the jars with the peas, and I've got 9 pints of black-eyed peas in here to be canned. I'm going to turn my fire on, and I'll show you. I don't make it too high. Let's see if I can show you here. I've got the fire turned on, and now we're going to put the lid on. You always want to make sure that you check your gasket and have extra gaskets on hand for the canning season. I always check. There's a little peeps hole through here that goes to the top of the canner where the little jigger sets. And I know that's not the proper term for it, but that's what I call it. It sets right here when the time is right, and you want to make sure that there's nothing plugging that. So I always look through that hole to make sure that that I can see all the way through it. You want to make sure that all of these are good to go, and it looks like it's ready. Okay, so the next thing for us to do is put the lid on and turn it. I'm going to check that fire again. Turn it to about right there. Make sure that my pressure canner is good on there. Now I have this on medium high. And we don't do anything else with it until a steady stream of steam starts coming out of this port right here. And it'll come up, and you start timing this, and you'll time it for 10 minutes. When your 10 minutes has passed, you're going to put your weight on it. Now for my altitude, I need 10 pounds, and it's this is what mine looks like, is this. And it has 2 rings, but for my altitude, I just need 1. And this makes it 10 pounds of pressure. And when this is gone for 10 minutes of steam, and I'll show it to you when it does it, then we'll put this on here, and then we wait a little bit more for it to begin to rock. And I'll come back and I'll show that to you as well. Okay, this has been steady steaming for 10 minutes, and so now it's time to put the weight on it. Don't put your hand through the steam. Hopefully I don't have to tell anybody that for real, but I just want to make sure nobody gets burned. And you're just going to set that on there. I'm going to go ahead and check my flame, and it's at a good place. And I'll be back when this begins to jiggle, rock back and forth. Then I'll start timing. And these are pints, so they have to go for 75 minutes, and quarts have to go for 90 minutes. Okay, it's been 75 minutes at pressure, and so all we do now is turn off the heat and nothing else. Don't touch this. Don't let it do its thing. Don't put this pot in cold water. Don't put a fan on it. Don't do anything. Just let it set. And when this quits jiggling and this goes back down, it's come back off of pressure, and it's safe then to remove this when there's no other action, and you'll be able to take the lid off and turn it away from you so that you don't get steam up in your face. And I'll show you that process when this is cooled down and it's safe to open everything. This just went down. You can hear there's no sound, so it's safe to take this off. Now, you want to open your canner, the lid, away from you. And watch on the edge, because there will be water dripping. Now I'm going to take these jars out, and I'm going to move them to a towel behind you guys, and I'll show you in just a minute. Now, some of the jars have water on top of them, and when you're moving them out of the canner, you don't want to tilt the jar sideways to dump the water off. Just straight up and out. Here are the jars out of the canner, and they'll sit here for 24 hours and cool off, and tomorrow I'll be able to take the bands off and wash the jars, label them, and get them put on the shelf. 9 pints of black-eyed peas. I have a lot to go, not only black-eyed peas, but pinto beans and navy beans and all kinds of good stuff. So I hope that I was able to show you a little bit, teach you a little bit. I know that we've got seasoned canners on here, and they didn't need this, but I've had a lot of new subscribers that have asked me to show them how to can these and how easy it really is to get more stock on your shelf. So anyway, until next time, guys, this is Josie. I love you. I really do. We're gone.